Trek Geeks Podcast Network is proud to have Fansets as its presenting sponsor. Fansets is the place for amazing pin collectibles with over 300 officially licensed Star Trek pins and new releases every month. Stay tuned for a special discount code good on your next order at fansets.com just for Discovering Trek listeners. Fansets, our pins have character.
Hey, it's Sara and Kasey here, and this is Discovering Trek Enterprise. Welcome to the First Frontier. We are about to chat about Enterprise Episode 3, Fight or Flight. If you haven't watched it and you are waiting for the Pony Express to deliver it to your homestead, well, it's been 20 years. I don't think that pony's going to make it. Go hit up Paramount Plus, though. Watch the episode, and then haul right back here and listen to us. That's it. We hope you've enjoyed our non-warning spoiler warning.
Before we discuss Fight or Flight, we always want to hear from our listeners about their thoughts on everything Discovering Trek. So, how can you get in touch with us for your thoughts, our thoughts, everyone's thoughts on Discovering Trek Enterprise?
If you're looking to get in touch with us, there are a bunch of ways you can do that. This is so awkward and I love it. This is what the people want. You can go to trekgeeks.com/contact and find a variety of ways to get through to us and give us your thoughts. And also on Twitter and Facebook. All you have to do is search for Discovering Trek. We welcome your questions and comments, especially the really nice ones. Yeah. You can also leave us a voicemail by visiting our website at trekgeeks.com and click on the big blue button. Please remember, though, it's big and it's blue, just like Papa Smurf. Aww. Or really juicy blueberries. I want blueberries now. Okay, so just, you've hit that big blue button. Just remember, though, anything that you leave may be used in a future episode of Discovering Trek or against you in a court of law.
Thank you. See, that's a very good warning that people have to remember. We will use it because we want your content. Thank you.
I love it. So what do you think, Kasey? We're talking about Fight or Flight. Did you want to just discuss a little bit about what we thought? Do you want to go into a synopsis first? How do you want to roll with this?
Well, I was thinking we could do our rating on it, and then maybe go into a synopsis, and then discusses.
I'm into
this
that
episode. So once again, we're going to be hitting the slices of pie. Maximum of 6 slices, which is 1 serving. And if you want a la mode, or with whipped cream, or some melted cheese on top, it's all up to you. Sarah, what you got?
I gave this episode 3 slices of pie. It was a little bit better than Broken Bow Wow. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I enjoyed watching it, and I think the reason why was because I got to make the synopsis, and so the pressure was on. So I paid attention, and I had fun with that. So that's my rating.
Right on. Okay, well, we're going to match this week because, I gave it another 3 slices out of 6. Another mixed bag episode for me of things that I really kind of liked and enjoyed, and other things that were just, nope, want none of that.
Nope. Turn it off.
It's, from what I can see, a seemingly rough start to a new series. But you know what's going to make this so much easier and better? I think this would be the episode recap by Sarah.
The pressure was put on to do some rhyming. I said I would do it, and I did it. Now, I apologize if I don't get the perfect iambic pentameter that I dream of, but I will do my best. Here we go. The crew are 2 weeks out on their own. Hoshi's pet slug badly needs a new home. Captain Archer can't stand the bedroom floor squeak, while possibly mating Dr. Phlox wants to peek. The weapons are tested by Malcolm Reed. Some aliens on a ship are hung up for feed. Archer pouts all about it and wants to go back. T'Pol is insistent and won't cut him some slack. Archer demands they return. With an autopsy, they'll learn. Some ships soon show up and folks try to talk. The translation is painful. Hoshi wants to walk, but she powers right through, saves all the crew. So what did we learn? How does this end? The Axanars for sure are now a new friend.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. Look at you.
And now in French.
Oh, what? Oh man, quite impressive.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Thank you. I had fun with that. I like rhyming.
That was fantastic. I mean, that was better than the episode.
Maybe this is something we can make into a book and then we'll be rich. Enterprise Poetry by Kasey and Sara.
Oh, okay. We'll do it. We'll start having to look in trademarks and all that kind of stuff.
We got to save all of this stuff.
Immediately. Oh, man. Well, hey.
That was the highlight of watching this godforsaken episode, was that I was like, I'm going to write something cute and fun and right to the point. So I feel like I actually know this episode quite well, because I was like really struggling. Like, what happened? What words can I use to rhyme? Pressure's on.
Hey, you got it. You nailed it. I think, for our thoughts on this, we've already kind of maybe on the nose told a little bit of what we think, but points of discussion. We'll get a little nitty gritty here.
Yeah. What happened in this episode? What got us? What were our bugaboos and what did we like?
Okay. Let's get this thing off right off the start. Yeah. The squeaky floor subplot, if you want to call that.
Yeah.
So your captain, out to explore for the first time ever, is hanging out in his room like a lovelorn little teenager, trying to figure out what is squeaking in the floor. Mm-hmm. Boy, that's riveting television to me.
Yeah.
Why? Why was that?
You know what? And it's funny, like that was dumb. And the best way to make it worse was to have Hoshi come in complaining about her room. I was like, is this like when I moved an office from one office building to the next and now everyone's all mad because the sun glares on their face? And like, can we just like get to work, people? Like, yeah. HR had a day trying to deal with those two.
I was laughing on this because I was so with Paul of just like, you got to be effing me. We're in space and you're crawling on the floor. We got other things to do.
Yeah.
Priorities. But
and I think they hinted at they've been out in space for 2 weeks and he's 2 weeks and they're all like bored and mad. I'm sorry.
Right?
As people who've gone through quarantine, I have no sympathy for that.
I was exactly. It's like, who hasn't been, or maybe, people who haven't been, but like summer camp where you're off for 10 days, 2 weeks or whatever. I was like, it's new. You're on a new ship. It's new crew people all around. I mean, Phlox is having the freaking time of his life.
Yeah.
And everyone, I mean, I get that you may be antsy and all this other stuff, but sugar.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I maybe I didn't pay that close attention to the episode because I saw your comments about I want to talk about this goddamn floor. And I'm like, well, what happened with the floor? What was did we get it fixed? Or do we have to watch this again?
Here, so spoiler alert, later on in the series, it gets
the whole
fixed.
Thing. Oh, okay.
I don't even know if it comes back up a lot at all.
Okay.
I just found it an incredibly stupid way to have your lead and the lead for your ship, the lead for your show, be obsessed by this little squeak, and then the emotional shift for the character throughout this episode from a squeak to, hanging hunks of meat for use, and should we stay? Should we go? And, he's mad at himself for whatever decision and takes it out on everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, maybe if you're doing other stuff besides now he's hanging out with his dog, I get that.
Yeah. I like to see the captains just in their captain role. I don't need little glimpses into their life. Like when Jellicoe came onto the Enterprise, I didn't need to see the 20 minutes he talked to maintenance about getting the fish out of there. They're not there. That's his preference. We don't need to see them being little,
right?
I'm not going to use the B word, but that's what I'm applying, is that they're being little. Yeah.
Well, Archer through this whole episode is once again jerky.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Nope. He's a jerk.
Like, yeah. And you go, well, okay, here he is again. Now, speaking of jerk, if we do the flip side on that, we get Hoshi having, which I found was really kind of cool, is right off the bat, a episode centered on her. And this is where my 50-50 split came. It's like, hey, okay, that's cool. However, it was like, if you're going to present that maybe she's having certain troubles being out in space and all this stuff, she's an adult, not the kind of whiny stuff that's coming through, or these, I found very stereotypical, demure Asian female. And I was like, come on now, this is an accomplished person who was strong-armed by Archer to be part of this crew. And if you're going to give her the episode, realistic. Let's make it realistic, please. So if there's some arc for the character in this one episode, fine. But she's a lot stronger than was presented.
It's really interesting watching this and paying attention to the characters so I can really be involved in watching their development or lack thereof. Just in these 2 episodes, I've seen a woman who, if she wanted to be in space, she would have been in space. She was not in space. She was told to come to space. She doesn't like it. And then this episode is her being bullied and pressured to figure out a completely brand new language in 5 minutes. And I just find that to be a horrible work environment. And I would not wish that upon anybody. And man or woman, it just not a pleasant experience.
And it's not realistic story-wise.
No.
Of just, she's like, I can't conjugate this. I can't do it. And then
she does it?
This, clear enough conversation.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. This is a very teeter-totter episode for me. It was like, we're here, and then all of a sudden, bam, we're going to be here.
The only reason I gave it 1 more than last time was because there was some great Dr. Phlox.
Right.
He had great scenes when he was talking to Trip about all the excitement and watching people and how they smell and his interactions with Hoshi and the slug. Good character.
Yeah.
So that's my character right now. I'm liking him. So that gave it some redeeming. That gave you another piece of pie.
I hear you. That was going with what has happened within these 2 weeks, where like are humans just too tired of being around each other to not appreciate kind of what's going on. And then with Phlox, and then I found, and I don't know if you thought this way, but boy, Trip so far is the best well-rounded character, the most supportive, I'll say. Yeah. Because he's there and just like, hey, wants to get to know Phlox. Okay, gonna do that. Talks with Hoshi and gives, I thought, really kind of gentle, brotherly, not pep talks, but like, no, you could do it. Yeah.
Kind of feels like Captain material, if you ask me.
Right? And it was amazing. And that, he was so just upfront of like, hey, I came out here to explore. I want to explore. And then Archer's like, well, no, the ship's too young, needs its main engineer, except for like a few hours later when everybody bails out to go over to the Axanar ship anyways. And so, Trip and Phlox so far. And okay, Sluggo.
Why?
I mean, I hope that banana slug gets some residuals from all this, because 1, got screwed out of all its lines.
Yep.
2, stuck in working conditions, hanging out on a rock. All right, hot days, and was the simile, metaphor, whatever you want to call it, with Soshi.
Yeah.
I don't know how many welts you have on your head from being hit over the head like I was by that. It was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
So
The other thing I wanted to touch on too that was frustrating to watch and didn't feel like Star Trek to me, God, this is a negative podcast, was how Malcolm Reed really wanted to get some stuff fixed and Archer's just so impatient and we have to go. And it's like, what if that's just such a new captain way to be, because you need to have weapons and stuff ready to go when you're going out to explore. And if you need to take the time to do some repair work, you need to take the time to do the repair work. And I just found that was like, ugh.
Yeah. It was a nice plot contrivance of going, oh, okay. Oh, the weapons aren't working properly. Okay. We're going to see this come in later on, because why would they tell us about it unless it's going to be an issue? And and then Archer kind of seems like, hey, you know what? We'll stop somewhere, load up some torpedoes. So I guess some torpedoes means 2. You have 2 chances to fix this. And then I lose interest in that. Nah, forget it. We're just gonna roll. Yeah. Captain Archer, not my favorite captain so far.
Yeah. But we can redeem ourselves and get into a better mood now by talking about fan sets.
Oh my God.
That always helps.
Cleanse the palate. Well, Discovering Trek listeners, we're taking this moment to thank our friends over at Fansets for being the exclusive sponsor on Discovering Trek. You know, they're always working to put out the best product available and continue to surprise and delight us with new designs and product releases. There's some great new products out Trek-wise. Check it out. They change it up all the time. Plus tons of non-Trek stuff like Scooby-Doo, BC, Batman 66, Ultraman, and Big Bang Theory. I don't have a Big Bang Theory voice thing to do there. So if you can think of one, go for it. But I got nothing.
I don't watch that show.
No, neither did I. But the pins look awesome from what I have seen. So there are tons of pins and accessories for you at fansets.com. Head on over there, meander along, check out all the cool stuff they have, and put a bunch of pins and accessories into your cart, and then enter the special code word, Discovering Trek, in all caps, no spaces, at checkout for an amazing 10% off your entire order. And don't forget, if you're in the US and spend more than $30, you'll also get free shipping.
And right now, Fansets is giving listeners of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network the exclusive opportunity to help select the next pin in their Women of Trek collection. Folks who vote will also be entered in a random drawing to win a Women of Trek master set and a full set of the Series 2 pins. So go to trekgeeks.com/vote and vote. The winner will be selected on April 1st. Fansets, our pins have character. And we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. How about that contest?
Right?
What a prize.
That is fantastic. I voted. I know we can't enter, but I went and voted. And I was like, this is pretty damn cool. So everybody, go hit it up. I want to see what people's ideas are. This could be very hip.
Yeah.
You know what's hip also?
What's hip?
A special of the day. What does the chef bring to you? You never quite know what it's going to be. You walk in, it's a surprise. Sometimes you might get exactly what you want. Other time, it's just clearing out the stuff in the pantry.
Yeah.
But boy, today's chef special of the day. I'm gonna ask you a question here, Sarah.
Please.
Who do you think were the attacking vampire baddies, and/or is this a plot thread to continue or just be done, a one-off?
Okay. We didn't see them, did we? We just know that the Axanar were hanging in there, and then the bad guys are showing up to try and get the ship, but the other guy, the Axanar, showed up and helped, and that was what happened, right? So how much
correct.
I have to do this because I say I pay attention, but I just this show.
No, you got it.
Okay, so who do I think they are, and do I think that they're going to come back? I think that I'd like to see this be a mystery bad guy that floats throughout the series, kind of like the Borg, personally.
Oh, okay.
I think they seem horrifying that they're doing this to people or species. Scary. I like that we didn't see them, now that you've reminded me that was a thing. I wonder who. Is it I want spoilers. Is it a species that we know of that exists in the world of Star Trek, or is it?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So
Cool.
there's been speculation about,
Mm.
what could this be? And some people say, this kind of looks like a Breen ship, which maybe, who knows?
Mm.
I'm not going to say everything here because maybe this comes back up later on in the series, and I don't want to spoil something for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe you never see it again. But oh man, I hear you. I thought this was super creepy.
I like scary.
Right.
And so I liked that was an element in this episode, because we don't get that in a lot of Trek. I think like one of my favorite episodes of TNG is Genesis, because it's kind of scary. When they all de-evolve, right? And that was creepy. And Spider Barkley, and I was like spooked. So when Hoshi has that turn and she sees him and she screams, I'm like, yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah. I thought this could have been a nice little thing with, Travis saying, hey, we were out here 23 years, barely saw anything with my family. But to then experience this 2 weeks in to your maiden voyage, that might be a nice little thread to hold on to and use for maybe some character moments, maybe that come up or don't come up. I like on this that it's the first appearance of the Axanar species mentioned in TOS's court-martial, In Whom Gods Destroy. Thank God that Axanar are androgynous and live over 400 years. I mean, they could literally be waiting a really, really, really long time for something or someone that never shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like going, hey, this ship was out there, cargo ship, I guess, and gets hit by vampire baddies. And maybe somebody would come around to check about it later on. Who knows?
And that's a good point to bring up, because that was the big argument between T'Pol and Archer was, you should just leave it. It's none of your damn business, versus him being like, we're out here to explore. We got to go on to every single ship, whether we're invited or not. And they were both on such extreme ends of it that I found it to be like you guys are so different. And I kind of see both sides to it, actually. Like, I see her point of being like, well, what? Yeah. Like, leave it alone. You have other things to do. And I also see his point of being like, maybe we need to help people, especially when it came to being like, this is what we saw and we just want to leave those bodies there.
Yeah, it's like, hey, once there's dead bodies hanging around, then I think, okay, you have a moral obligation to do more than just bail out. Yeah.
Would you agree with me when I say that the chemistry between the actors that play T'Pol and Archer isn't there yet?
There's none.
There's none. Thank you. Okay, because there are characters that I've watched on TV that hate each other, but it's just good chemistry of them hating each other. Like, you love watching them hate each other and you love the argument. And I find that with them, it's so flat. Like, that dinner scene was awkward. And he's making a really good point. Archer is saying, what if they were Vulcans? What if they were humans? And I'm like, absolutely. This is the moral of the story. This is the Star Trek morality part of it. But just the way she's like, they weren't Vulcans. And then, just the two of them together. I hope that grows. I don't know. Yeah,
it's like dry toast. You know? It's there. It's not enjoyable. Yeah. You won't die from eating it, but you're like, isn't there anything else that I can possibly have? I hear you about chemistry and or lack of it. I find that
Connor Trenier is bringing in more chemistry than anybody right now because of his...
Yes.
Like that scene with Phlox where he's just kind of smirking to himself, amused by it. It was very effortless and real and cute. And it was a good scene.
Like underplayed.
Yeah.
So I kind of go with Archer and T'Pol. It's melodrama.
Yeah.
At times. And
interesting.
Trip is just like the guy there going, come on, I want to do stuff. Hey, what's going on with you? How are you doing? Hey, you know, you're better than you think you are. Oh, come on, Captain. I want to go out and have some fun.
Yeah.
But I realize my thing, and just, a a well-rounded character so far.
Warming up to that character. I am for sure.
Right on.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. What next, Sarah?
We have our fun house.
Enterprise Fun House.
I didn't find a lot, but I have a few things. Thanks to Internet Movie Database, for sure.
Woohoo.
When the camera pans past the suspended aliens, a standard rubber bungee with S-hooks is visible.
Oh man, I'm going to have to go back
I know.
and check that out. Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
When Hoshi talked about the stars being backwards and she couldn't sleep. Oh, God, stupid thing. Anyway, the star streaks are backwards. Stars would look blue as you approached and red as you go away. So I guess they got the color wrong on that. That's
So
a very
science
specific.
stuff?
Yeah.
I have no idea about that. Now I gotta with the stars going the wrong way with Hoshi. I will tell you, I went on a long RV trip with my mom and my older brother when he was in 8th grade. I was in 2nd grade, and we literally hit 38 states in 3 months.
Fun.
Across the U.S. Yeah, my mom drove. She was a beast. She was
amazing.
Awesome at this. And our bunks were on the left side of the RV.
Right.
And for 2 to 3 years after that, when I was home, my bed in my room was always up against my right-hand side. The wall was on the right-hand side. I had to move the bed because for that 3 months, I got so used to leaning on the left, and there was, a little window there to see out of the RV. And so I giggled during that scene. I'm like, I can get, or if you've been on a train ride anywhere and I have to face forward, whichever way we're going, I have to face that way. Because you turn me around, I'm like, no, thank you.
That's like on the city bus. We have seats that are backwards and forwards, and I can't face backwards. It's just too much. It's hard. It's very hard. Why don't you touch on this next one? Because I know that the snail thing is a...
Oh, sluggo. Okay. So at the end of the episode, a captain allows an invasive species to be just plopped onto another planet as if there's going to be no ramifications. And with the whole simile metaphor thing, I was like going, so they're just going to drop Hoshi off at some planet?
I think the Discovery writers should look at this and write in something that 900 plus years in the future, some planet has these mutant, horrid slug monsters that have defaced there we go. We got a new villain for the world of Discovery in the future is Sluggo and his descendants.
You would like that. Oh my God. That was another just little... Yeah. I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What about those suits?
Environmental suits. I dig them. They look great. Don't seem to be airtight.
No.
It's just you put a suit on and then you kind of have this half torso and helmet thingy. But I didn't see anything where they go, hey, we press this button and it automatically airtights everything. It's a cool looking, coppery uniform costume type thing, but no.
Nope.
not for a second. It's like I really don't want to go anywhere in that because it looks kind of thin and not too scientifically accurate, my friend.
All right. And lastly, for our little fun house, I'm going to do my Sarah's question corner to throw you off. And this is more of like a topic for discussion because I'm curious to know your thoughts.
All right.
What do you think about what the bridge looks like? And the ship in general, like if you want to...
This is great because, I was thinking about us discussing the aesthetic of everything here.
Yeah.
I think they really just thought about what things might look like supposedly, 100 years before Kirk and all that type of stuff, but stayed really close to or tied into the existing. It's got to be a round bridge. The captain's chair is here. You've got Travis literally right in front of the captain instead of just off to a side or something. So visually, I find that kind of is odd for certain camera angles, but also, I mean, if you're the captain, aren't you, leaning this way and leaning that way to see around his head
down in front?
Yeah, for the view screen. It looks submarine-y.
Yeah, it does.
And the buttons, like you have to push buttons and all that, which I kind of get. But then we're living at a time right now where everything is touchscreen. So yeah. I think they were in a box.
Okay, and on that note, that just reminded me of something. And I'll get back to what I think about how the ship looks. But Archer's quarters in the beginning, and he's talking to somebody. In the background, do we seriously see a CD tower and a couple of little Bluetooth speakers? I mean,
I think so.
CDs are a thing in 2001. I get it. CDs are not a thing now in 2021. And in 20 years, our technology with regards to computers and music and media have just completely changed in a completely 360. Like businesses have gone out as a result of this, the Blockbusters of the world, the music stores of the world. And somebody thought it was a good idea on the set to put a CD tower and some little mini speakers in his room. And I just was like, what? WTF? I don't know. Maybe that's me.
No, Tower Records was having a sale. They bought some stuff,
it's just
brought
silly.
it in. And
Nicky-nacky. I don't like that. I don't like it. And I don't like the ship. I don't like the bridge. I like it, but I don't like it. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it a little bit more believable as to what maybe we'd be capable of creating ourselves. It's not it's when I have him standing there in that uniform, in that backdrop, it's just so lacking color. It's just so like depressing looking, I think.
I hear you on that. And I think they really could have gone for a different design to say we progressed from this type of a thing to years upon later, the round bridge. It was just, too much of, oh gosh, are people going to understand this is Star Trek? If, it isn't a ship with two nacelles up top and it's not a round bridge.
It just makes me think like, did they not have an idea about what tone they wanted to go with? Because when I think of like depressing sets, I think of Deep Space Nine. It was depressing to look at, and it worked because that was the story they were telling. They were trying to rebuild after this horrible like war and occupation, and Chief O'Brien's trying to get anything to work, and it was dark and it was moody because it was a dark and moody show.
Yeah.
Whereas this is dark and moody, and I don't feel like they're trying to be a dark and moody show. But I also feel like they're not trying to be a funny show. And I feel like they just didn't know what they wanted. That's how I get from the two episodes.
You get that? I kind of see where I think they were going for a World War II aesthetic. So for, us at the time that this came out of the age to think back, let's think back 40 or 50 or 60 years or so. What were things? It's like, stuff was steel gray. It's pipe. Yep. Things are much more utilitarian. So I can see them using that thinking in their head of what will consciously and or subconsciously have the viewer, who would most likely be a white male, think back and go, oh, okay. Aircraft carrier or something like that. And I just keep going, boy, it's hard for me to think. I try to think now about then being in then.
Yes.
And it's a tough one. If you're going to go back and be able to design a whole new ship and stuff, it's like, I'm wondering if the designers and producers of the show had a lot of different ideas, which reading stuff they did, and the suits said no. And it's like, things could have been very different and much more of a different narrative and build up than what we got.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Good conversation. I think this turned out to have some good points to talk about.
I hear you. Interesting for episode 3. And then we move on. So that does it, really, for our coverage of episode 3, Fight or Flight. We'll be back next time to chat about episode 4, Strange New World, celebrating the 20th anniversary year of Enterprise. Until then, remember that you can subscribe to Discovering Trek by searching for us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or by heading to discoveringtrek.com.
If you enjoy what we're doing here on Discovering Trek and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As a subscriber, you can get access to the unedited recordings of episodes, as well as all the exclusive content and great subscriber rewards, like our annual supporters pin from Fansets and our exclusive Trek Geeks Podcast Network t-shirt, among other things. We would like to take a moment to recognize the following amazing producers of Discovering Trek. We are so thankful for their support: Mike Bovia, Chaz Bradshaw, Ken Bird, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Craig Ewing, Al Godwin, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Tony Lambast, Lionel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Jamie Rogers, Chris Tribuzio, Ken Tripp, Christina Werther, Jess Vachon. The senior producer of Discovering Trek is Jude Tapman.
If you'd like to be becoming, or even if you'd just like to become a producer of Discovering Trek, or even get access to the raw audio for Discovering Trek episodes, head on over to patreon.com/TrekGeeks for all the details. And until next time, Discovering Trek listeners, to beam out.
Music for Discovering Trek is provided by 5 Year Mission. They're writing an original song for each episode of Star Trek. Hear more of their music at 5yearmission.net. Discovering Trek is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.